The fog was heavy that night, though it was not night in the usual sense. It was a kind of timeless murk, hanging low over the cracked and twisting landscape of some forgotten dream space. Shadows were thick, but not the kind that belonged to the moon or a street lamp. They belonged to the absence of light, the absence of meaning. It was a place where fears were born, and yet something older than fear lingered even there. Pennywise stood on a broken stretch of asphalt, a grin carved across his face as always, though it felt fragile now, like it could crack if he laughed too hard. The world shimmered with the shapes of children who never were, their faces blurred and screaming silently. The carnival that was always behind him. The tents, the funhouse, the balloons, the smell of burnt sugar, was fading, curling into ash at the edges. And then there was the turtle. He or it was not a creature of carnivals or nightmares. He was not a predator of children's fears, not a shapeshifter, not a parasite. He simply was. His shell was a dome of impossible geometry, covered in runes that were older than the stars, and eyes that were slow, patient, and terrifying in their stillness. He did not move, and yet he was everywhere, present in the air and the ground and the spaces between thoughts. Pennywise tilted his head, the grin stretching a little wider, a little too tight. "You re-big," he said, testing. His voice came out like a rasp, like broken glass being dragged across stone. "Big, old, boring. Not much fun, I say." The turtle blinked. One slow, deliberate, universe-altering blink. And Pennywise felt a ripple in his stomach that he had not felt since the first time a child stopped screaming in his presence. "Fun," he added, forcing it. "I am fun. You want fun, yes? I am fun. Terrifying, yes, but fun. The best fun you've ever." "You are an echo," said the turtle. The words were not words exactly, but they reached Pennywise anyway, curling in his mind like cold water. A ripple in the water of a river that does not need to flow. "You do not feed me. You cannot touch me. You cannot matter to me." Pennywise's head tilted again. The grin cracked. He had never been refused. Never. Not by a child, not by a town, not by a universe that feared him. But this thing, this being, it was not afraid. It did not recoil. It did not even flinch. There was no reflection of him in its mind. No joy, no terror, no recognition. Only existence. "You wrong," Pennywise hissed. "I matter. I eat fear. I am the shape behind the closet door, the shadow under the bed, the scream that wakes them at night. I am." "You are something small," said the turtle in that terrible, measured voice. "And you only exist because others see you. Remove them, and what remains is nothing. Your essence is dependent, fragile, temporary. You are a moment pretending to be eternal." Pennywise laughed, high and sharp, but it broke into pieces halfway through. "Temporary?" he spat, claws scratching the ground. "I am eternal. I am everything they fear. I live in the dark, in the minds of millions. I cannot be erased. You cannot erase me, old one. You are too slow too." "I am not slow," said the turtle. "I am patient. I do not chase. I do not hunger. I endure. I persist. You are a shadow. Shadows vanish when the sun grows strong. And I am not sun, nor moon, nor shadow. I simply am." Pennywise stepped closer, though the ground beneath him curled and hissed with his presence. He reached out with one clawed hand, a gesture of menace, of hunger, of habitual cruelty. The turtle did not move, and yet Pennywise felt himself shrinking, becoming smaller, becoming insignificant. The words the turtle spoke were not loud, but they were weighty. Every echo in his mind hammered at his essence. "You are not necessary here. You are not required. You are not feared." He snarled, twisting his form, becoming monstrous, becoming 1,000 nightmares at once, trying to overwhelm with sheer terror. Flames erupted in the dream behind him. Balloons turned to shards of glass. Children's faces morphed into screaming masks of horror. "Fear me," he bellowed. The turtle blinked again. Nothing changed. "You see," said the turtle finally, "you are hollow. All the terror you manufacture, meaningless. All the suffering you cause, insufficient. Fear is your sustenance. Without it, you are air and shadow, and even the air and shadow may reject you. Pennywise felt a coldness wrap around him, deeper than any icy water, sharper than any knife. He had fought children, fought grown men, fought clowns and witches and his own kind. He had always won. And yet here, in this place, in front of this thing, he felt the emptiness of eternity pressing down, the hollowness of all his deeds, the futility of his existence. I am eternal, he whispered again, this time to himself, but it sounded smaller, less certain. I am eternal, and the turtle, unblinking, simply existed. The dream world quivered beneath Pennywise's assault, a trembling ripple that threatened to tear the fabric of reality itself. He stretched his limbs impossibly, claws scraping the cracked asphalt that seemed to melt under his presence. His face split into dozens of grins, each one sharper than the last, each one whispering threats and promises. Balloons flew like firebrands, twisted into grotesque shapes, eyes of long-dead children staring from within the floating spheres. The air was thick with the coppery tang of fear, of sugar burnt in fire, of nightmares given voice. But the turtle did not move. Pennywise launched himself, a tornado of teeth, flames, and darkness, a maelstrom of everything that ever frightened anyone. The world folded and bent as he twisted it, trying to crush this being, trying to force it to yield to terror. A forest of burning carousel horses rose and fell with each swing of his claws. The ground became flesh, the sky became a mouth. He roared, screamed, laughed, hissed, and the turtle blinked. Each blink, slow and deliberate, sent waves through the dream. The flames that Pennywise conjured flickered and died. The carnival warped and melted, folding in on itself like wet paper. Shadows, those shadows that he had summoned to chase him, recoiled and vanished. Every scream, every distorted child, every flicker of terror, dissolved. Pennywise's form began to fracture. Not physically, he could reform always, but conceptually. He reached for a childish face to pull it into nightmare, and the face evaporated into nothing before he touched it. He screamed, the sound sharp and broken, echoing through a world that was no longer listening. You are not afraid, he hissed, his voice breaking, a sharp rasp. You cannot scream, you cannot run, you cannot be terrified. Fear is my realm. You cannot exist without fear. I do not exist because of fear, said the turtle, its voice resonating deep in the marrow of Pennywise's being. I exist because I endure, because time moves, because the universe is. Fear is transient. You are transient. You are nothing where I persist. Pennywise twisted, trying again. His claws tore the asphalt into ribbons, and the ribbons became snakes that hissed at the turtle. The carousel horses bent, twisted, and tried to strike, hooves clattering like bone on stone. The balloons became screaming mouths, and still the turtle did not flinch. The snakes dissolved into mist. The hooves fell into silence. The mouths evaporated into air. Impossible! Pennywise shrieked. I am eternal. I am the nightmare of all children. I am the shadow that haunts the corners of reality. I am... You are dependent, said the turtle. Dependent on eyes to watch, on hearts to pound, on minds to imagine you. Remove the need, remove the watchers, and all that remains of you is... smoke. The words were slow, but each struck Pennywise like a blade forged of logic and eternity. His form flickered. He tried to change, to become larger, more monstrous, more incomprehensible, but with each attempt the dream world resisted. His own power, the power of his fear, recoiled. The spaces he had once owned as playgrounds for terror were now prisons of patience. Spaces that absorbed him without effort, spaces that simply were. The turtle blinked again, and Pennywise felt the weight of millennia pressing down. Not on him physically, but on the very concept of him. He was nothing here, not yet gone, but meaningless. He twisted, his laughter jagged and broken, trying to find a reaction, some flicker of dread, some echo of his dominion. And then Pennywise did something he had never done before. He tried to negotiate. "I can offer fear," he said, almost softly, his voice thin. "I can offer power. I can make you see things. I can make them afraid. I can." "You cannot offer that which does not matter to me," said the turtle. "Your power is a reflection of need. I do not need. I endure." For a moment, Pennywise was silent. The carnival behind him was gone. The fire was gone. The children were gone. His claws, the teeth, the screaming mouths, all evaporated. He hung there, a solitary clown in a space that did not bend or flinch. The universe did not care for his performance. And in that silence, he understood. Not fully, but enough. His hunger, his terror, his entire existence. It was fragile, temporary, irrelevant. The turtle did not destroy him. He could not. But he unmade him from the inside, not with force, but with the simple inevitability of persistence. Pennywise fell to his knees, or at least the semblance of him that could kneel. His laughter had stopped. The shadows he had cast no longer followed him. He tried to rise, to change, to shape the world into something frightening. But the turtle's presence was a field of inevitability, a weight that held every corner of reality steady. "You are eternal," Pennywise whispered, voice trembling for the first time. "I cannot break you." "I do not need breaking," said the turtle. "You exist because they fear. Without fear, you are smoke. Without smoke, you are forgotten. And I endure." The dream space folded around them, and Pennywise realized that it would never be the same. He could flee, reform, return to other worlds. But here, in this place of patience and inevitability, he had met a being he could neither manipulate nor devour. A being older than hunger, older than laughter, older than nightmares themselves. And he had lost. Pennywise hung in the dream space, a tattered reflection of himself. The fire had gone. The children had evaporated. The carnival had folded into itself like a piece of paper soaked in water. He could feel the emptiness pressing against his bones, not physical bones. He had none, but the conceptual structure that held him together. Fear. That was his skeleton. That was his flesh. Without it, he was hollow. And Maturin remained. The turtle did not move. Its presence was absolute, yet passive. Time bent slightly around it, but not in a way that a mortal mind could measure. Pennywise tried again, stretching, contorting, creating 1,000 faces of horror, each screaming and gnashing, each trying to demand recognition. The echoes of laughter, long and sharp, cut through the air, but they were swallowed before they could even reach the turtle's shell. He remembered other battles, the kids, the town of Derry, the dreams of adults he had eaten without mercy. And for the first time, a thought clung to him like a parasite. I might not win. It was not just fear that he was losing. It was certainty. The kind of certainty that had allowed him to twist reality like taffy. The kind that had made him eternal in the minds of his victims. Without it, he felt like a puppet with no strings. You think this is funny? He hissed, the words wriggling from his mouth like smoke. You think this is a game? You are not a game, said Maturin, slow and deliberate. You are a mirror, a reflection of fragility. You cannot frighten what does not depend on being frightened. Pennywise tried to respond, to shout, to roar, but his own voice seemed to fracture mid-air. Every word he produced bent and distorted, colliding with itself until it became unintelligible. For the first time, he felt irrelevance. The children he could have terrified, the screams he could have fed upon, the darkness he had ruled, all meaningless here. He twisted again, forming a massive shadow, limbs stretching across the dream space. The asphalt beneath him melted into a river of nightmares, each face a tiny scream etched into the surface. He tried to strike at the turtle, to carve fear into its shell, but the claws passed through nothingness. It was as if the universe itself had rejected his attack. You are patience? He spat, trying again, twisting into something more monstrous, something more abstract. You are slow. You are weak. I The words trailed off as Maturin blinked once, and Pennywise felt time collapse around him. Not literally, but conceptually. Every attempt, every effort to assert dominance, every scream he had ever produced, contracted into a single point of awareness. He could not matter here. A memory surfaced. A small child, a red balloon, a laugh that had once carried all his power. And now that memory was thin, fragile, fading. He realized he was forgotten before he even existed. Not by cruelty, not by death, not by neglect, but by endurance. Why? He whispered, claws trembling. Why are you not afraid? Why are you not even aware? Maturin's shell glimmered faintly, almost imperceptibly. I do not exist to fear or to react. I am because I endure. I am because the universe persists. You exist because others see you. Without seeing, you are smoke. Without smoke, you are forgotten. The words sank into Pennywise like ice in his conceptual bones. His form flickered. The shadows he had summoned, the twisted carnival, the screaming faces, all disappeared. He was smaller now, not physically, but in essence. A shadow of a shadow, trembling in a space that did not respond to fear. For a moment, he tried to laugh. It was a hollow, broken sound. I am eternal. The turtle did not blink. He could not rise. Not here. Not in the presence of something that did not acknowledge him yet existed beyond him. Pennywise had always fed on acknowledgement, on terror, on attention, on life. And here it was as if attention had no weight. He was irrelevant. I will return, he whispered, more to himself than to Maturin. I will find another world, another time, another mind. The turtle remained, patient, eternal, unmoved, and Pennywise understood something terrifying. His existence was fragile, not because he could be destroyed, but because he could simply be unneeded. He had met a being whose presence nullified his purpose, and that nullification was worse than death. In the distance, a faint echo of laughter drifted, children playing somewhere else, in another dream, another town. But here, in this place, there was nothing. Only the turtle, only endurance, only inevitability, and Pennywise, once a nightmare incarnate, shrank further into irrelevance, leaving behind only the faintest curl of smoke in the timeless air. The absence of Pennywise's terror left the dream space quiet, not merely silent, but expectant, like a pause in the universe where the next heartbeat could undo all that had come before. The children, the carnival, the screaming faces, they were gone. Only the faint curl of smoke lingered where he had been. It drifted upward, insubstantial, and eventually dispersed into the timeless air. Maturin remained unmoved. Its shell glimmered with runes older than stars, faintly echoing in the spaces between thoughts. The turtle's presence was both anchor and current, a force that did not need recognition to exist. Time bent subtly around it, stretching, folding, compressing, but never breaking. Pennywise had learned, too late, that force alone could never bend this. And yet, in that quiet, Pennywise began to perceive the subtle reverberations. The ripple of his failure stretched far beyond the boundaries of this dream space. Elsewhere, in towns and houses he had haunted, faint disturbances tingled at the edges of thought. Children remembered their nightmares differently. Shadows in closets seemed less menacing. Laughter lost its sharpness. Fear did not vanish completely, but it thinned, like morning fog under the sun. And somewhere, in some unseen dimension, Pennywise's essence shivered, aware that it was losing dominion, that the scale of his hunger was meaningless against this patient, eternal force. He tried again, not with claws, not with flames, not with screams, but with ideas. Shapes of fear, abstract and impossible, coalesced around him. He tried to reach through the dream, to tear at reality itself, to inject terror where Maturin's patience held sway. You think you can endure everything? He hissed, his voice fragile, breaking into 1,000 shards. You, who are slower than time. You think you can stop me? You cannot stop what persists only in the minds of others, Maturin replied. You are smoke, Pennywise, Not evil, not power, not terror. Smoke. Thin. Temporary. Fragile. I endure because I am needed by nothing, feared by nothing, and observed by nothing. You exist because others observe. Remove the observers and your existence fractures. Pennywise twisted, his form splitting, becoming 1,000 reflections of himself. Faces screaming, claws snapping, shadows lashing. He reached for Maturin. For the first time, he felt frustration, then panic. No attack landed, no scream echoed, no shadow lingered. He could shape reality, bend minds, twist space, but not this. Not here. And in that moment, something else stirred. A tiny tremor far beyond the dream space. A hint that even patience has boundaries, that eternity itself is not a single line but a web. Pennywise felt it, not as fear but as possibility. He was diminished, weakened, yet somewhere, faintly, the thread of him remained. You cannot erase me, he whispered. I am everywhere. I am children's fear, grown men's regrets, shadows in every corner. You cannot hold me forever. Maturin blinked, slow and deliberate, and the air around Pennywise thickened, not with smoke, not with fire, but with the weight of inevitability. I do not hold, it said. I endure. You are ephemeral. You bend and break. Your attempts to persist are irrelevant. You exist only in necessity. Remove necessity and what are you? Pennywise's laughter tried to return, brittle and hollow. I am eternal. And there it broke completely. Not in the sense of being destroyed, but dissolved conceptually. He flickered, his essence curling like smoke in an imperceptible breeze, powerless. The last traces of the nightmare that had once ruled dreams of Derry shrank into nothing, leaving the dream space empty, patient, timeless. And Maturin simply watched. A long silence followed. In that silence, Pennywise understood something deeper than terror or hunger. He was not defeated by force, not by cunning, not by revenge. He was defeated because existence itself had no need for him here, and Maturin, eternal and patient, did not require fear to persist. The ripple of this confrontation stretched outward. In places far removed from this encounter, other nightmares flickered, paused, and sometimes forgot themselves. Fear had been challenged, and in that challenge it had been reshaped. Pennywise's last whisper was almost inaudible. I will return. The turtle did not respond. It did not need to. Its enduring presence was reply enough. And somewhere, far across dimensions, the universe sighed. A slow, imperceptible breath. Time continued, unbroken. Endurance had triumphed over fear, patience over terror, and inevitability over the ephemeral. The dream space, now quiet, stretched endlessly, waiting. Not for Pennywise, not for terror, not for screams. Only for what would come next. The dream space remained silent long after Pennywise had dissipated. A testament to endurance over terror. Yet even smoke leaves a trace, a scent on the wind, a memory in the fabric of reality. Somewhere, far beyond the folding dimensions of this timeless place, Pennywise existed in fragments, scattered across dreams, half-formed, half-forgotten, flickering like dying stars. He tried to gather himself, to remember how to terrify, to feed, to be whole. But every attempt met the same resistance. The faint, invisible weight of Maturin's presence pressing down from beyond space, from beyond fear itself. Each fragment of him pulled together, only to be pulled apart again, dissolved by inevitability. Pennywise realized something he had never confronted. He was no longer necessary. Not in this place, not in this time. In the absence of need, he had no form. In the absence of fear, he had no power. He was ephemeral, existing only as long as someone believed in him, as long as terror required him. And yet, somewhere deep within the fractured strands of his being, a thought took root. They will return. Someone will remember. Someone will fear. He began to whisper into the dark, into the spaces between dreams, into the tiny cracks of attention left unattended. Little flickers of form began to gather, shapes of children, balloons, laughter. but they were thin, fragile, and fleeting, like smoke over a candle flame. Every attempt reminded him of Maturin, and every reminder of Maturin reminded him of the futility of force against endurance. The turtle did not move. It had no interest in punishment or eradication. It simply existed, patient, observing, eternal. The universe itself, through the presence of Maturin, had drawn a boundary. Here, fear did not dominate. Here, terror had no power. Pennywise could return, but only where he was needed, only where fear still held sway. And so he wandered, not through the streets of Derry, not through the minds of children, but through the thin cracks of forgotten dreams, searching for the faintest shimmer of necessity. Every glimpse of fear, every shadow that shivered, every heartbeat that pulsed with terror. These were threads he could grasp, threads that let him exist again, if only barely. But he would never be whole. Not here, not where endurance reigned. And somewhere, in a quiet corner of the dream space, Maturin blinked once. The weight of time pressed down again, steady and unyielding. The fragments of fear floated and dispersed. The echoes of terror faded into irrelevance. Nothing stirred, save for the faintest curl of smoke that hinted at a predator, a shadow, a memory of terror that might someday rise again, but only in places unanchored by patience. Pennywise's whispers became a promise, barely audible. I will return, wherever fear endures, wherever they remember, wherever. And then silence. Endurance had won. Patience had triumphed. The ephemeral had been humbled. And in the endless, timeless dream space, there was nothing left to do but wait. Wait for the universe to demand fear again. Wait for necessity to return. Wait, as all things must, for the balance to shift once more. And somewhere, far beyond comprehension, the universe exhaled slowly. One life ended. One predator diminished. One eternal watcher remained. The cycle was paused, not broken. The scales temporarily tipped in favor of existence itself over the hunger for fear. The dream space stretched endlessly, neither night nor day, neither beginning nor end. Time was no longer a measure but a texture, like sand slipping through invisible fingers. Here, where Pennywise had once ruled with laughter and terror, there was now only the weight of existence, calm and deliberate. Maturin rested at the center, a monument to endurance, a presence older than stars, older than thought, older than the concept of fear itself. Pennywise's whispers had faded to almost nothing, curling like smoke in distant, forgotten corners. He existed, yes, but only as necessity allowed. He was a ghost of terror, a shadow of memory, a reminder that fear could never fully die, but could be suspended indefinitely. Far across dimensions, in the towns and cities that had once trembled at his name, subtle changes occurred. Children slept more soundly. Adults woke from dreams with hearts less quickened. Shadows seemed less oppressive. The echoes of horror thinned, almost imperceptibly. It was as if the world itself had learned to endure, and Pennywise felt it. Every fragment of him, every thought, every sliver of form knew it. His dominion was no longer absolute. Not because he had been destroyed. He could not be destroyed, but because there existed a force greater than him, patient, eternal, immovable. The knowledge clawed at him like an invisible frost, deeper than any fear he had ever inflicted. Maturin did not move. Its eyes, slow, deliberate, and unblinking, observed everything without judgment. Its very presence reshaped the dream space, bending it subtly toward equilibrium. Nothing escaped its notice. Everything persisted, yet nothing suffered for its presence. It was the quiet of eternity, the calm of existence unbent by hunger or desire. Pennywise tried again. A flicker of shape, a hint of laughter, a fragment of nightmare reached outward. He sought to influence the world, to find a place where fear still had currency. Somewhere, anywhere, he needed the pulse of terror to reconstitute himself. But the ripple of Maturin's endurance reached out even there, gently, imperceptibly. The attempt failed, leaving only a hollow memory where terror might have been. He understood then something profound, almost unbearable. Fear was not enough to sustain him alone. He had been eternal only because others had fed him with their minds, their hearts, their screams. Remove the observers, remove the audience, and he became nothing more than smoke curling in a space that did not respond. And yet, the cosmic reflection did not destroy him. Could not, and it need not. Instead, it offered clarity, a glimpse into the nature of existence itself. Maturin did not rule with hunger, did not act with malice, did not feed on the terror of others. Simply was. It endured, and in that endurance lay a quiet, unshakable power that surpassed everything Pennywise had ever known. The clown understood, finally, that some forces were not fought with claws, teeth, or fire. Some forces were inescapable by their very nature. No scream could touch them, no shadow could hide from them, no terror could unsettle their stillness. And that realization was both a curse and a revelation. For in the corners of the universe, where fear still lingered, Pennywise could persist. But he would never be complete, never whole, never truly sovereign. He was a shadow of necessity, a parasite of attention, diminished and delicate. And Maturin, patient and eternal, would always be there, not as an enemy, but as existence itself resisting absence. The dream space breathed quietly. Time, space, fear, and patience coexisted in a new rhythm, one neither cruel nor indulgent, but perfectly balanced. The remnants of nightmares hung faintly, whispers of the past. And in that quiet, the universe itself seemed to reflect. Even the darkest fears, even the most cunning predators, are only as enduring as those who need them. Somewhere far away a child dreamed. A balloon floated lazily in the corner of a room. A shadow lingered just long enough to remind the dreamer of wonder. Pennywise's echo whispered, almost tenderly, "I exist, wherever fear endures," and Maturin blinked, slow, deliberate, eternal. The cycle of terror and patience, of fear and endurance, of ephemeral and eternal, had been paused, perhaps indefinitely. But the universe, as always, waited. And in the waiting, all things, fear, hope, existence, and time itself, persisted.